In this video, we want to go over how to adjust the widget settings in your CarCode portal. When you log into the CarCode system, you'll be met with the inquiry screen initially. In order to get to the widget settings, you need to go to the admin button in the top, click on the drop down and select settings. Once you select settings, you'll see the three setting topics at the top: sales, widget, and general. Simply click on the widget setting and it will show you the different widget options for you to be able to adjust the widgets for your own website. Initially, the page is going to have just a few different selections right here. It'll show you the scripting code that goes onto the site. It'll show you how to test it on Edmunds to see the widget on Edmunds. And then it will show you the widget itself. It'll be able to preview by toggling on and off and allow you to create and configure new widgets. Now, typically the idea is that the widget will already be configured. It will already be on your website and you'll be ready to go. All you want to do here is to perhaps adjust it so it better suits and fits your website in general and is more attractive to your customers to inquire on it. The first thing I'd recommend doing is to toggle on the widget preview button. This is going to show you the widget in real time, what it looks like, or the positioning and the color scheme and text and everything on what it would look like when it was on your website. You could go to your website as well, but as you can see the updates here in real time, sometimes it's easier just to have it previewed here on the side. So we can see that the text button here says text sales on it. It's orange and it's on the mid right side of the actual page. And you can see as I scroll up and down, it stays on the same place location, just like it would on your own dealer website. Now, if I want to make changes to the widget on the website, initially what I can do is come to this screen and then come down to the actual widget here. You could see that in my example here, I've got two widgets set up. One is going to be a default widget, which would be on a desktop site, and one is going to be on a mobile site. You may only have one here and they react the same on both the desktop and the mobile site. But if you do require additional widget settings, you can also reach out to your Edmunds representative to have additional widgets added. The next step would be to click on the edit button down in the corner so that we could edit the different features of the actual widget itself. So what we'd want to do is we would see up here, it's a name, we call it mobile. It's a default widget, and it's the widget that we want to enable analytics for so that we're able to track information that travels through it. The first thing you're going to see is the floating position button. And as I click on the drop down, you can see that we can move the position to many different spots along the site. You may have other widgets and or material on your website and you don't want the widget to overlap or hide anything. So perhaps you have something on the right side that was floating in that current position, and we could then move it to a different position, let's say the lower right, and then be able to move that widget to move it into a different spot on your website. Once we hit save, I can see that it's been lowered down here on the site. I could move it down to the bottom, the other side of the screen as well, and you can see a preference in that. If I go back to editing, you can see that I have a position guide here that will show you where the different sides of the widget can be placed on the website. We know that the majority of people now are using a mobile device, and that's why we use this screen as a picture for you to be able to see where that widget would show up on a customer's mobile device. Once we select where we want, we do have the option to go into some more advanced features. Once we click on the advanced button, it gives me a larger drop-down menu to make different options and different placements for the actual widget. The first thing you can see is that the button, the text sales button, or the text on the button can be altered. Perhaps I might want to say text for information or text us now, something that might be seasonally preferred as text for summer deals, something that might be eye-catching to your customers for them to be able to text in. You can also select the button to have the text in all caps. This might have a little more standout, kind of that metaphorical shout out to the customer as they're coming through. You can adjust the button height and the width. If you include a large amount of text in the actual button, you may have to adjust the height or the width to accommodate all of the text that you put in there. I want to be cautious in making things too robust or too much words into it. We want it to be a simple option and a simple piece for the actual customer to address. And we want it to be easy for them to use and very clear on what the actual button does for them as it goes through. Button color is the next piece down here that we would look at, and you can look at that there's all kind of colors of the rainbow. Now we've made the text button orange by default, and that's because we want it to stand out. Many websites have a consistent color scheme and it looks very nice and appealing, but when we start to blend the button in with that same color scheme, then it starts to hide a little bit and we start to reduce the amount of inquiries and the amount of text that the customers will send into the dealership. So be cautious if you change the button to a different color, as it may start to blend into the background and then not be as effective as you want it to do. You obviously can change the rounded size, the font colors, the font size, lots of things that you can do with it to make it kind of stand out. We've picked some ideal settings for it, I think, initially, and we get a lot of good placement on it and a lot of good inquiries through that button, just the way it is set initially as it goes through. But if for some reason you feel it needs to be a little bit changed, maybe to accent something or to complement something that you're doing, feel free to make the adjustments as you go through. Down here, we have a couple of pieces here in the text messaging format options. And the idea here is that in the mobile device, if you click on the texting button, it opens up directly to the customer's texting application. Makes it very simple and very easy to use. However, we can have the option to use a form, which is done on the desktop screen, and to request to have an input field such as name or different information that we want the customer to put in before they begin texting us. Now, all these options sometimes sound very good as they create more information for the customer to give us, and it creates more of a formalized setting for them to be able to begin texting. But remember, anytime we put a barrier up to having the customer text the dealership, we're going to reduce the number of inquiries as we go through. So only put these up if you really think they're really going to add significance to what you're doing. Button color and form outline, again, the same type of thing. You have a lot of selections here with colors and different pieces as you want to go through. Once you've made all of your adjustments to your text button that you like, come down to the very bottom and hit save. Those will update the text button in real time. So you can see here when I check the box for all caps, that button has actually been updated right now. And if you went to your desktop site or mobile site and refresh the screen, you would see the updates in the text immediately as they come out. So if you do find something that you make an adjustment and it doesn't look good, you can always go back and create, either undo or edit those adjustments so that it looks good and it'll update in real time. It's an instantaneous update and it'll make your button ready to go right away. So remember, this text button is an inquiry. It's a call to action button that you want your customers to grab onto and send you and start that conversation with you. Try to make it as simple as possible and as direct, but be as succinct as possible as well. And enjoy.